Define it, though. I mean, I think it's a misused term often, political correctness. What is it?
Well, Michael Gove, the English Conservative politician, he was Minister of State Education, he actually talks about it as a form of left of centre or cultural left groupthink, where you're made to think along party lines, if you like, where language is changed. As I said before, if you say that marriage is between a man and a woman, you're attacked as heteronormative. If you say that, we have too many, the rate of immigration's too high, you're xenophobic. If you say that we had Safe Schools program in Victoria, it's still there in government schools under the Andrews government, that was saying to primary school kids, you can self-identify as whatever gender you are or want to be, it's fluid. Now, if I criticise that, which I did in the Herald Sun, I was attacked for transgenderism. So they're actually shaping the way we think and the language we use.
Well, they're objecting to discrimination, and you're being discriminated against.
Well, there's. I was going to get a T-shirt made. It's okay to be a bloke. Boys, in particular, I'd argue, and men are suffering because of the argument. And we only had to look at Q&A a couple of weeks ago, where a number of feminists argued it was okay to use violence to destroy the patriarchy, that men, boys were all misogynist and violent. So it's difficult now increasingly, if you're more conservative, to be heard. We're doing that now, but if you look at our universities, our schools, the media more generally, the voices are being silenced.
I'm just going through the book now, a politically correct dictionary and guide, Dr. Kevin Donnelly, and quite brilliantly illustrated by Johannes Leek, who's Bill's son, the famous cartoonist. I looked at Santa Claus. Now, Santa Claus goes around in here. Why? As one of the terms you define.
There's been an argument that Santa Claus, if you tell children that he's coming down the chimney and you're getting a gift at Christmas time, there's an argument that is a lie, it's unfair on children, you shouldn't be doing this, and in fact it's a way of blackmailing children just to be good, and if they get a present they'll be rewarded. But there's a more serious point here that, as you say, a lot of kindergarten schools won't have nativity scenes, they won't have religious carols. There are councils in Australia that won't have Christmas decorations that are religious in nature. So it's become a very secular Christmas, and I think that's another problem.
96900 693 13 13 32. Off-air caller tells us the Yarra Trams Christmas party is now called the Thank You Party.
Well, you only have to look at the number of Christmas cards now that you buy where it's Happy Holiday, or they don't actually have Jesus in a manger anymore, or angels, or the three wise men.
Interesting thing, some years ago we're going through, and that's why I hope we'd moved on from childcare centres banning Christmas, and we were talking about it and we started getting calls from people of all different religions, Jews, Hindus, and different nationalities as well. And we got together a group of Santas. We had an Asian Santa, a Jewish Santa, a black Santa, a Hindu. We had about 6 or 8 people dressed up as Santa, none of whom actually were Christians. And they said, don't touch it, it's beautiful, we love Christmas.
That's right.
Isn't that the point, that it's somebody imposing on these people, somebody imposing a view they think will be held by somebody else?
It's a form of discrimination. And I talk about that in the book, that if you disagree with the ideology, if you're not woke, as they say, you don't follow the party line, then you are discriminated against.
I was going to ask you about woke. What does it mean?
It means you're up to date with all the terminology. And one reason I wrote this, I taught at Camberwell Grammar some years ago, and a lot of those boys I taught are now married, 34, 38. And I spoke to a couple of them recently. They said they can get into so much trouble at work now. So I've written it so that they can be aware of what the issues are.
Well, you're woke because you know all the jargon.
But obviously I'm different. I don't agree with it. But yeah.
Okay, and finally, where's it going? I mean, there's been, as you rightly say, a surge probably in the past 10 years, a bit longer. Where's it going?
Well, I think people, the pendulum is starting to swing against it. Scott Morrison won the unlosable election. Shifty Bill lost that, if I can call him that. And the quiet Australians made their voice known. A lot of people, Western Sydney, up north of Brisbane in Queensland. The ABC survey I mentioned, a survey only this year, the majority of people wanted to keep Australia Day. So I think people are starting to think that there's an issue here and we have to work against it. And I might give the book a plug.
Sure, yeah. Well, I have. Politically Correct Dictionary and Guide, yes.
It's available on my webpage.
Okay.
Yeah, kevindonnelly.com.au.
KevinDonnelly.com.au. We'll have this interview on our website, and we'll we'll have a link to your website as well, if that's all right. Kevin
Excellent.
Donnelly, Dr. Kevin Donnelly, thank you for coming in.
My pleasure.